In this video, I'll be giving a spoiler-free overview on the newly released game called Copycat, followed by a more in-depth story explained. Don't worry, you'll be notified before that segment starts as it will contain spoilers. In Copycat, you take on the role of a cat adopted from a local shelter by an elderly woman. You must learn to adapt to your new surroundings and home, facing challenges such as trying to be a really cool hunter, making a mess, but it's just playing, and sharpening those claws. There are several different chapters to play through, all with their own unique elements. I really enjoyed the dream segments when we hunt as a wildcat, and also the side-scrolling parkour levels. It's not just all about having fun, there is a deep emotional story to uncover as well. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I found it delivered a lot more than what I was expecting. I played for around 3.5 hours in total, and I felt that I thoroughly explored most things that I could find. If you love cats, video games, and emotional stories, this game is a must-play. Now, let's take a deeper look at the game and the story. This portion of the video and onwards will contain spoilers, so if you want to play it for yourself, now is a good time to stop watching and come back once you're done. The story begins on June the 5th, a date that will gain significance as the narrative unfolds. We meet Olive, an elderly woman and recent widow, visiting the animal shelter in search of a cat to adopt.
You must be excited. The kittens are just up ahead.
Oh, leave the kittens for the children.
Her physical frailty is evident as she struggles with shortness of breath during her brief visit.
I'll be fine. I'm not dropping dead anytime soon.
Despite her health challenges, Olive perseveres and selects a cat to bring home.
She's the one.
Great. This cat is very active. She'll run around the house all day long. Are you sure you're okay?
The cat's name is Dawn, and for the remainder of the story, you'll be playing as this newly adopted feline, so I hope you made the right choice. Upon arriving at her new home, Dawn is anxious and frightened in her unfamiliar surroundings. It's revealed that she hasn't been treated well in the past, making it difficult for her to adjust. 3 days pass and Dawn remains hidden in the garage, emerging only when Olive isn't around. However, the life of being fed meager biscuits in a bowl doesn't satisfy Dawn's longing for freedom, and she dreams of escaping to the wild. When exploring the house, Dawn discovers some food to stash away and notices a missing cat poster. The cat on the poster looks strikingly similar to Dawn and seems to indicate that Olive adopted her as a replacement for the missing cat, also named Dawn. Olive believes the original Dawn escaped when an ambulance came for her a few months ago and the door was left ajar. It soon becomes apparent that there's more to this story than just being a mischievous cat. Clues scattered around the home reveal Olive's deteriorating health due to emphysema.
We need to sort out your next steps with the retirement home. Call me back.
Among the evidence is a flyer for the Sunnyside retirement home and a large oxygen tank in Olive's bedroom. Olive's breathlessness and difficulty with daily activities suggest she's not adhering to her doctor's advice. Even interacting with Dawn leaves her winded. On the 11th of June, Dawn and Olive begin to bond. Dawn allows herself to be patted, and Olive presents her with a new collar, symbolizing their growing connection. Dawn wonders if she has finally found a home, but her yearning for freedom and the pain of her past still linger. She decides to stay a bit longer to hone her hunting skills as she struggles even with catching butterflies. That night, after a cozy evening snuggling with Olive and dreaming of being a wildcat, Dawn is roused by a noise in the dark. She spots a cat outside in the stormy weather before following the sound upstairs. In the bathroom, Dawn finds Olive on the floor, surrounded by scattered pills, clearly having a health crisis. At this moment, you can choose whether to stay or leave, but Dawn decides to remain and keep Olive company throughout the night. The next morning, Olive is confined to her room, still unwell. Dawn tries to find a gift for Olive, reflecting her growing affection and concern. She is no longer desperate to escape, but wants to stay and care for Olive. A knock at the door reveals a nurse named Sherry. Nobody answers the door, and Dawn notices that Olive hasn't even touched the apple core she left for her. While waiting for Olive, Dawn indulges in some mischief. After devouring a lot of cat biscuits and having a cat nap, Dawn awakens to find the house bathed in flashing red and blue lights. May, worried by her mother's lack of communication, has called an ambulance. Dawn watches from a safe distance as paramedics, accompanied by May, take Olive to the hospital. Olive is alive, but clearly in poor condition. 3 days later, on the 15th of June, Dawn is still alone in the house, surviving on the remaining biscuits and creating more chaos. Later that day, Olive returns home with May, who is furious at the state of the house. In her anger, May grabs Dawn and throws her out into the backyard. It is then revealed that May was responsible for the original Dawn's disappearance, having discarded her secretly.
I thought you'd have taken the hint last month when I kicked you out the first time.
She disapproves of Olive having a cat and believes it's too much trouble. Dawn makes her way to the front of the house, and the outside world feels daunting. The streets are noisy and filled with dangerous vehicles. Outside, Dawn encounters a cat that looks just like her. It's the original Dawn. Then, Olive emerges from the house and mistakenly brings the original Dawn inside. She is unable to distinguish between the two identical cats. Dawn manages to climb up to the second floor window, her heart pounding as she peers inside. What she sees is a sense of devastation. May, in tears, is clutching some bills and hospital reports. Nearby, Olive lies peacefully in bed, napping. May, with a look of anguish, grabs a pillow and approaches Olive, intent on ending her life. Dawn scratches frantically at the glass, her claws desperate for purchase, and May seems to snap out of her trance. She drops the pillow to the floor and begins to sob uncontrollably. Olive, waking up to the commotion, comforts May, soothing her. She is unaware of what May was just about to do. That night, Dawn remains outside, curled up by the front door, alone. The next morning, Dawn resolves to prove her worth. She manages to catch a bird and takes it to Olive's front door as an offering. Olive, however, orders Dawn to drop the bird, which then flies away unharmed. She pats Dawn gently but sends her away, explaining that she already has a cat. Olive heads back inside, leaving Dawn alone once more. After waiting by the door all day, Dawn gives up and roams the dark, perilous streets, feeling abandoned and unloved. She endures a harrowing night, narrowly escaping aggressive dogs, before returning to Olive's home, pleading for help. Olive chases away the dogs and offers Dawn some fresh water. She strokes Dawn and hums a comforting tune, but the moment of solace is fleeting as the door shuts once more, leaving Dawn alone again. As another restless night passes, filled with nightmares and despair, Dawn remains at the front door of her former home. It's the 17th of June, 12 days since Dawn was adopted. Despite the beautiful morning, her mood is grim. She spots the original Dawn emerging from the house and realizes she must fight for her place. A fierce confrontation ensues between the two cats, but is quickly interrupted by Olive. She is bewildered by the sight of two identical cats. Unsure which one is her Dawn, she chooses the second cat, our Dawn, and bundles her into the car. The drive is long, and Olive hums her familiar tune, but this time it brings no comfort. Olive stops the car in the middle of a field, far from home, and holds Dawn close, snuggling her. It becomes clear that this isn't how Dawn imagined things would turn out. Olive gently places Dawn down and drives away, leaving the cat behind. Dawn, confused and desperate, chases after the car, but it quickly disappears from sight. Olive's decision to leave Dawn in the countryside was made with her safety in mind, away from the dangers of city life and Olive's presence. 8 days pass. Dawn explores the new area, finds a park, successfully hunts for food, and defends herself against other strays. Though hope seems elusive, a confrontation with a group of bully cats ignites a spark of bravery in her. Feeling empowered, Dawn decides to return home and confront Olive one final time. Her longing for a home has now turned into a resolve fueled by rejection and anger. By the 29th of June, 24 days after her adoption, Dawn finally returns to what used to be her home. No longer welcomed since Olive's rejection, the house now bears a for sale sign. The place is empty. Olive is gone. We know she had been unwell, and with May's plan to suffocate her, the fate of Olive remains a mystery. Now, Dawn has nothing left. She's not strong enough to survive in the wild, and not affectionate enough to be a beloved pet. She feels she has no reason to continue. As she sits despondently in the middle of the street, headlights approach from a distance, growing nearer. In an instant, everything around Dawn turns white. We drift through Dawn's memories.
I don't want a cat, I want a computer. This is the worst present ever.
From these tragic memories, Dawn comes to understand that home isn't defined by possessions, locations, or people.
Home is the place where you are needed most.
With newfound determination, the cat leaps out of the way of the approaching vehicle and resolves to find Olive. Upon properly examining the house, Dawn discovers it is now vacant, filled only with stacks of packed boxes and devoid of Olive entirely. She is truly gone. As Dawn surveys the area, she spots a familiar cat sitting on the windowsill outside. The original Dawn, now without a collar and evidently abandoned by May again. Dawn follows the other cat, and together they explore the streets. They pass familiar landmarks with Dawn trailing behind. As they reach the brick walls surrounding the Sunnyside retirement home, the truth becomes clear. The two Dawns perch on the fence, looking into Olive's new home. There, in the front yard, Olive and May are enjoying tea together, appearing to be in better spirits. The story concludes with Olive and the two Dawns reunited, now adorned with brand new collars.
I love you, Dawn. I love you too, Sunrise.
Our Dawn, now named Sunrise, finds herself in a place of love and belonging. At last, the two cats have found their home together, the place where they are needed most. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Copycat is a wonderful game with an emotional story that I will never forget. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of the game, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching.